Hey guys, welcome back to another video from Hoops Empire. In today's video, we're going to be discussing who I think could be the final piece to this already well-built Boston Celtics roster. Before we start, make sure to subscribe to the channel. We are under 200 away from 2,000 subscribers. And make sure to follow my socials in the description. So this is obviously a bit of a layered question, right? I mean, some would say that this roster, as is one that is more than ready to contend for not just one, but multiple championships, with most of the core locked up in long money. But others would tell you it is not yet complete. It still has holes in areas that need to be addressed. I would say I personally fall somewhere in the middle. This roster has the same rotation that got them to the NBA Finals last year, just 2 wins away from a championship. And on top of that, they acquired Malcolm Brogdon and Danilo Gallinari for pennies on the dollar. The current rotational roster breakdown looks a little something like this. For guards, we have Marcus Smart, Malcolm Brogdon, Derek White, and Peyton Pritchard. For forwards, we have Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Grant Williams, Danilo Gallinari, and Sam Hauser. And finally, at the big man position, we have just Al Horford and Robert Williams, both of whom are typically in the starting lineup. Guys like Grant Williams and even Danilo Gallinari have the potential to play the 5 in some small ball lineups, but in general, I would say the position that lacks depth the most would be at that 5. There's one name I'm looking at specifically here, Jakob Poeltl. Factoring in talent level, but also price, Poeltl is definitely an intriguing name. He is currently slated to make $9.4 million next year. He's coming off a season in which he averaged over 13 points, 9 rebounds, 2 assists, and nearly 2 blocks per game. He was making under $9 million, which made him the 141st highest paid player in the NBA. Yet, on the same note, was ranked 31st in EPM, or estimated plus-minus, 20th in defensive plus-minus, and 23rd in LeBron. I know the name is funny, but it's actually a very good all-encompassing metric. Overall, he's a very, very impactful player, and in terms of said impact, ranks higher than many stars in today's NBA. This past season, the Spurs had a plus 4.5 net rating swing when he was on the floor as opposed to off. Not only does he have great defensive impact, specifically around the rim, but his offensive impact should not go unmentioned as well. The Spurs' offensive rating this past season was 8 points better per 100 possessions than it was with him off the floor. His plus 2.5 offensive estimated plus-minus is on par with players like Pascal Siakam and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and even greater than players like Klay Thompson, Brandon Ingram, and Jordan Poole. And keep in mind, this is while being on a team that was nearly in the bottom third in offensive efficiency. So the main question here is, why wouldn't the Spurs want to keep him? And the answer is, they do, but it's complicated. The downside to having him on such a team-friendly deal is that you can only offer a player a contract extension that has an annual salary that is 120% of the last year of their current deal. This would mean that his pay raise would be fairly insignificant and would bring his salary rank from 141st to just barely cracking the top 100. Not ideal for such an impactful player. So his only real option is to hit the unrestricted free agent market. This would mean if the Celtics would want to acquire him, it would be a bit of a risk in and of itself. Speaking that they have to trade for him, what assets do you think the Celtics are comfortable giving away that you could potentially lose altogether if he does decide to leave in free agency next year? But it isn't just the Spurs and Poeltl that have their own extensions to worry about. The Celtics have some too. Grant Williams has definitely gone out and made himself some money over this last year or two. Do the Celtics want to extend him and give him whatever contract he likes, or try to turn him into a better player via trade? Andrew Hughes of Hardwood Houdini proposed an idea to send Grant Williams, Peyton Pritchard, and potentially some draft capital to the Spurs in return for Poeltl. Speaking that the Celtics will retain Poeltl's bird rights in a trade, giving them the ability to sign him deep into the luxury tax, this is a deal that the Celtics should definitely consider doing. I mean, the Spurs traded a young budding all-star in DeJounte Murray for a deal where the only player they got in return was Danilo Gallinari. So to get Poeltl, with that looming free agency, I doubt it takes much at all. You do not have to sacrifice much depth, and you get the backup center that you need. In this scenario, the Celtics would have a second unit of Malcolm Brogdon, Derek White, Danilo Gallinari, and Jakob Poeltl, making them undeniably the deepest team in the NBA, if they weren't already. Outside of that, I'm not sure what other holes the Celtics have in need to fill. I mean, they have the star power, the scorers and creators at the top, the playmaking with guys like Tatum, Smart, Brogdon, White, the perimeter defense, the rim protection, bench scoring, shooters. There isn't really one area you can look at and say, yeah, the Celtics are lacking there. Certain parts of the team could be better, but they can always be better. The only other option I can think of, other than a backup big, would be shooting for a higher level of star power, and I'm sure you could guess who I'm talking about here: Kevin Durant. As I just broke down in my previous video, Kevin Durant is one of the greatest players to ever be on the trade block, and the Celtics seem willing to part with Jaylen Brown in order to get him. It is a massive risk, but one with equally massive potential reward. Kevin Durant will be 34 at the season's beginning, and has only played 90 games over the last 2 years, as well as missing the entire year prior to that. A 34-year-old with knee issues for a budding 25-year-old star seems like an easy no, until you associate the name Kevin Durant with those characteristics. He is coming off a season in which he averaged 30 points, 7 rebounds, and 7 assists on 52% from the field, 38% from deep, and 92% from the line. Only Steph Curry, in his unanimous MVP season, has eclipsed 30 points per game while being in the 50-40-90 club. I don't put much stock in his playoff disappointment this past year versus the Celtics, largely because no one was there to help him. Kyrie was nothing other than a bystander in that series. I completely understand the concerns surrounding Durant, whether it be sacrificing nearly a decade of age, or the fact that he's been injury-prone at his age, or the fact that people are worried he will leave if or when things get tough. However, what I am not going to be here for is those questioning Kevin Durant's ability, even at his age. He is a better player than Jaylen Brown, undeniably, and very likely will continue to be for at least the next couple years. With the Celtics' new and improved roster, I am more than fine standing pat and running it back with this new and improved roster, but nothing is ever guaranteed. I believe KD gives the Celtics a better chance to win a title, and that's really what it's all about. I don't want to overstate any perceived title window that the Celtics have. There is a chance Jaylen Brown could leave in 2 years, since it's unlikely he will find an agreeable extension with the Celtics. He will hit the market as an unrestricted free agent, and while the Celtics can offer him more money, there's always a chance that he could decide to meet with another team and truly test free agency and find his own squad. I'm not saying that I think this will happen, it's just as possible as any other hypothetical, because that's all they are. Kevin Durant played 20 more games last year than he did the prior year. Who's to say his health isn't trending in the right direction? He finished healthy last season, and with a lower usage than in prior years, with a deep team and Jason Tatum alongside him, I'd say it should help limit him and be ready for playoff time. It is an option if the Celtics want to take it. The Nets are in no rush to trade Durant, but they do not want a disgruntled player either. Just wait until the price drops and walk away with Kevin Durant in a lesser deal than what the Nets currently want. There are plenty of guys the Celtics could look at for vet minimum contracts like Carmelo Anthony, Dwight Howard, DeMarcus Cousins, Avery Bradley, among other names. But if we were truly looking to improve the roster in a significant way, I think these two options would be the best possible outcomes to bring that elusive Banner 18. Thank you guys for watching the video. Let me know who you guys would like the Celtics to bring in before the season begins to complete this roster. Like the video if you enjoyed, subscribe if you haven't already, and most importantly, have a good one.